I am halfway through dinner when the air in the room suddenly feels heavy. We are all gathered around the large mahogany table for our monthly family Sunday roast. The smell of gravy and roasted chicken usually makes me feel warm, but today, it just feels stifling. My mother, who has been unusually quiet for the last 10 minutes, suddenly sets her silver fork down against her china plate. The sharp clack sounds like a gunshot in the silent room. She sighs loudly, the kind of sigh that is meant to draw everyone's attention. I keep my eyes on my mashed potatoes, hoping she isn't about to say what I think she is. "I just don't know where I went wrong with you, Zara," she says, her voice cutting through the quiet. The table goes completely still. My cousins, who were whispering a moment ago, freeze with their glasses halfway to their mouths. My aunt looks down at her napkin, looking embarrassed for me. My mother doesn't stop there. She looks around the table at everyone. She's a disappointment, if I'm being honest. She just drifts through life while everyone else her age is making something of themselves. My chest tightens, so hard I can barely breathe. I force a small, fake smile and swallow the words I've been holding in for years. No one defends me. I look over at my father, expecting him to at least clear his throat or try to change the subject, but he just keeps cutting his meat. He doesn't even look up. My older sister and younger brother are just as silent. They keep eating their dinner as if my mother hadn't just insulted my entire existence in front of 10 people. It's like this is normal to them. They have all accepted the script my mother wrote for me a long time ago. In their eyes, I am the one who failed, the one who couldn't keep a real job, the one who is just a guest in their successful lives. I sit there, feeling a slow burn starting deep in my chest. It's a mixture of anger and a deep, hollow sadness. I wonder how I became the family's favorite topic for criticism, but their least favorite person to actually talk to. I realize that to them, I am just a background character. I am the cautionary tale they tell the younger cousins. "Don't be like Zara," they probably say. I deserve a seat at this table just as much as anyone else, but they treat me like I am only allowed to stay if I accept their insults as dessert. I keep my head down and say nothing. Zara never sticks to anything. My mother continues, her voice gaining a bit of a theatrical edge now that she sees everyone is listening. She had that art phase, then that writing phase, and now she just sits in her room on that laptop all day and night. She has no direction, no goals. It's like she's waiting for life to just happen to her instead of going out and getting it. She shakes her head, looking at my aunt with a look of mock pity. It's exhausting, being the parent of someone who just won't grow up. I nod slowly, like I actually agree with her. I've learned over the years that explaining myself to her never changes anything. If I told her I was busy, she would say I was wasting time. If I told her I was working, she would ask where my boss was. They have already decided who I am, and no amount of words will fix a mind that is already made up. To them, my silence is proof that she is right. They don't see the fire inside me. They only see the quiet girl who doesn't fight back. I let her keep talking because I know something they don't, and that secret is the only thing keeping me in my chair. What they call confusion, or a lack of direction, is actually the hardest I have ever worked in my life. For 3 years, I have been building a business from the ground up. I didn't ask for a single penny from my parents. I didn't ask for advice from my siblings. I did it all in the dark, during the hours when the rest of the house was sleeping. I spent my nights learning how to code, how to manage logistics, and how to pitch to international clients. I built a brand out of nothing but a laptop and a lot of coffee. The reason I kept it a secret is simple. The last time I shared an idea with them, they laughed. When I was 19, I told my mother I wanted to start an online boutique. She laughed so hard she spilled her tea. "Zara, honey, leave the business to people who understand math," she had said. That laugh stayed with me. It became the wall I built around my dreams. I decided right then that they wouldn't get to see my work until it was too big for them to ignore. They think I'm doing nothing because I don't have a cubicle and a commute, but I am building an empire while they are busy complaining about me. As the meal continues, the focus shifts to my younger brother, Caleb. He is a golden child, the one who followed the path they laid out. He works at a mid-level accounting firm, and my parents treat him like he discovered the cure for every disease on earth. "Now, Caleb is focused," Mom says proudly, patting his hand. "He got a small bonus last month, and he's already looking at buying a new car. That's what a responsible young man looks like. He understands the value of a steady paycheck and a solid career." Caleb avoids my eyes. He's not a bad guy, and I think he actually feels bad for me, but he's too afraid of losing his golden status to stand up for me. Even he knows the comparison is unfair. He knows I work 10 times as many hours as he does, even if he doesn't know exactly what I'm doing. He just nods and takes a bite of his potatoes, playing the role they want him to play. My parents beam at him, and then they look back at me with that cold, disappointed stare. It's like they are looking at a broken toy that they can't figure out how to throw away. As dessert is served, a lemon tart that usually tastes great but now feels like ash in my mouth, Mom adds the final dig. I've just accepted that Zara just isn't that kind of child. Some people are meant for big things, and some are just meant to be, well, Zara. She laughs a little, and a couple of my cousins join in, thinking it's a light-hearted joke. It's not a joke to me. It's a label she is trying to pin on my chest forever. She wants me to stay small so she can feel big. But something in me shifts in that moment. It's not the usual flash of anger that makes me want to scream. It's something much colder and sharper. It's clear. I realize that I have been waiting for their permission to be successful. I have been waiting for them to discover my talents so I could feel validated. But looking at her smug face, I realize I don't need her to see me. I already know who I am. The girl she is talking about doesn't exist. The real Zara is a CEO, a strategist, and a fighter. I don't feel small anymore. I feel like the most powerful person in the room, and they don't even know it yet. Just as my mother is about to start another story about how great Caleb was in high school, my phone buzzes in my lap. I usually have a no phones at the table rule, but I left it on today for a reason. I glance down, shielding the screen with the edge of the tablecloth. It's an email. My heart skips a beat as I read the subject line. Final approval, international partnership contract. I scroll down quickly, my eyes scanning the text. We are pleased to inform you that your proposal has been approved. The signed contract is attached. I freeze. My breath hitches in my throat. This is it. This is the contract I have been working on for 6 months. It's a deal with a major tech firm that will triple my company's value overnight. It's the kind of deal that puts you on the map. It's not just a little project anymore. It's a life-changing partnership. My mother is still talking about Caleb's soccer trophies from 10 years ago, but I'm not listening. I'm staring at the digital signature of one of the most powerful CEOs in the country. The world just changed, and I am the only one at this table who knows it. I slowly lock my phone and set it back in my lap. I don't jump up and scream. I don't rub it in their faces. I just sit there and take a sip of my water. My hand is perfectly steady, while my mother continues talking about my lack of progress and how I really need to start looking at secretarial school. I just watch her. For the first time in my life, her words don't sting. They don't make me want to cry. They actually seem kind of funny. I feel a sense of certainty that is like a solid rock in my stomach. She can call me a disappointment all she wants, but it doesn't change the fact that I just secured a multi-million-dollar deal. She can say I have no direction, but I know exactly where I'm going. I look at my aunt, who looks like she wants to offer me a tissue, and I give her a genuine, bright smile. She looks confused, probably wondering why the disappointment of the family looks so happy all of a sudden. I'm not happy because of the money. I'm happy because I finally have proof that she was wrong about everything. As I sit there, a memory flashes in my mind. I remember being 17 years old, sitting at the same table. I had just spent weeks researching how to start a small online shop for vintage clothes. I was so excited. I had a notebook full of ideas and a budget worked out down to the penny. I waited until dinner to tell my mom. I thought she would be proud. I thought she would see my ambition and offer to help me get started. Instead, she had just laughed until she coughed. Zara, you can barely keep your room clean, she had said, wiping a tear of laughter from her eye. Focus on something realistic, like getting through your history class. You're not a business owner. You're a dreamer, and dreams don't pay the bills. That moment was a turning point. I never brought up my ideas again. I realized that sharing my dreams with her was like giving a delicate flower to someone who only wanted to stomp on it. I went underground. I became a secret version of myself, and I stayed that way for years. That 17-year-old girl is finally getting her revenge today, even if she's doing it quietly. By day, I did just enough to look like I was trying to find my way. I took odd jobs, I helped around the house, and I kept my mouth shut. But by night, I was a different person. I'd build everything. The business strategy, the client list, the automated systems. I learned how to handle difficult people and how to negotiate contracts that were bigger than anything my father had ever signed. I was living a double life, and I got very good at it. I created something real, brick by brick, in the silence of my bedroom. I didn't have a fancy office or a team of assistants. I had my brain and my will to succeed. I watched my siblings get praise for doing the bare minimum while I was doing the impossible without a single well done. I grew thick skin. I learned that the best kind of success is the kind that you don't have to announce. But today, the secret is getting too big to keep. The contract on my phone is the key that opens the door I've been hiding behind. I am ready to stop being the secret Zara and start being the one the world sees. The approval I just received isn't just a small win. It's a major partnership with a global brand that everyone in this room knows. It's the kind of deal that people write articles about in business magazines. It's the result of 3 years of nothing stable, as my mother likes to call it. And the best part is that none of them have any idea. They think I'm just a girl who can't figure out her life, but I am the one who just out-earned all of them combined for the next 10 years. I look at my mother as she takes a bite of her tart. She looks so confident in her judgment of me. She really thinks she knows me. It's almost sad in a way. She has missed out on knowing her own daughter because she was too busy looking for flaws. She could have been a part of this. She could have been my mentor or my biggest cheerleader. But she chose to be my critic. Now, she's going to be a spectator. The deal is done. The papers are signed. And my life is about to explode into something she won't be able to comprehend. Suddenly, my aunt, the only one who ever seems to actually care, leans forward. So, Zara, I feel like we haven't checked in for a while. What do you actually do these days? I know you're on your computer a lot, but what is the project you're working on? The table goes quiet again, but this time it's because they are waiting for me to stumble. My mother doesn't even give me a chance to answer. She answers for me before I can even open my mouth. Nothing stable, like I said, Mum says with a dismissive wave of her hand. She's probably just playing games or chatting with people. She calls it freelancing, but we all know that's just a fancy word for being unemployed. Don't worry her with questions she can't answer, Elena. I feel the eyes of everyone at the table turn to me. They are expecting me to blush, to look at my plate, and to say nothing. I inhale slowly, feeling the cool air fill my lungs. This time I won't stay silent. This time I speak. Actually, Mum, I run a company, I say quietly. My voice isn't loud, but it has a weight to it that catches everyone off guard. The room goes silent for a different reason now. My mother stops chewing and looks at me like I just said I was an alien from another planet. Then she starts to laugh. It's not a big laugh, just a soft, mocking snort. My father and my brother join in, shaking their heads like I just told a cute joke. A company? Oh, Zara, honey, my mum says, wiping her mouth with her napkin. Selling a few trinkets online or doing a bit of social media for a local shop isn't running a company. Let's be realistic. You're just trying to make yourself sound more important than you are. It's fine to have a hobby, but don't call it a company in front of people who actually work for a living. Her words are meant to put me back in my place, to remind me that I am just Zara. But I don't back down. I just keep looking at her, my expression calm and unbothered. The joke is about to end, and they are the ones who are going to feel like the punchline. My uncle, who is a retired businessman and usually stays out of family drama, leans forward. He looks at me with a bit of curiosity. What kind of company, Zara? You sound very sure of yourself. My mother smirks slightly, leaning back in her chair. She's waiting for me to stumble over my words. She thinks I'm going to describe some tiny, insignificant project that she can easily tear apart. She's ready to pounce the moment I show any weakness. I look at my uncle and speak clearly. It's a logistics and software firm. We specialize in supply chain optimization for mid to large-scale e-commerce platforms. We've been operating for 3 years, and we just reached our first major scaling milestone. I use professional terms, words I know my mother doesn't fully understand, but my uncle definitely does. The room starts to shift. My uncle stops smiling. He looks at me like he's seeing me for the first time. My aunt looks confused, and Caleb finally looks up from his plate, his eyes wide. My mother's smirk is starting to fade, replaced by a look of growing irritation. I explain the business model, brief, clear, and confident. I talk about our growth rates, our client retention, and our overhead costs. I don't sound like a disappointment anymore. I sound like a CEO. As I speak, the energy in the room changes completely. It's like the air has been sucked out of the room. My mother is staring at me, her mouth slightly open. She's trying to find a way to interrupt, but she doesn't know enough about what I'm saying to argue with it. I see the first crack in their narrative. They have spent years telling everyone I was lost, but I am clearly the most found person in this room. My uncle is nodding now, his brow furrowed in concentration. He's impressed, and he doesn't care who knows it. Caleb is staring at me like I've just performed a magic trick. For the first time in my life, I am the one controlling the conversation. I am not the girl being talked about. I am the person being listened to. And I haven't even shown them the best part yet. Another notification lights up my phone on my lap. This time I won't hide it. I pick up the phone and hold it so the screen is visible to the people sitting near me. Oh, that's perfect timing, I say, as if I'm just checking a text. I turn the screen slightly so my uncle and my mother can see the email I just received. It's not just a message. It's a notification of the initial deposit from the new partnership. The number on the screen is large, very large. I point to the name of the sender, a massive, multi-billion-dollar tech company. Silence drops over the table like a heavy blanket. The clinking of silverware stops. The sound of the clock on the wall seems to get louder. My mother's face goes from red to a pale, ghostly white. She stares at the number on the screen, then at the name of the company, and then back at me. I can see her brain trying to process the information, trying to find a way to make it fit into her version of me. But it won't fit. The disappointment just made more money in one transaction than my mother has seen in 10 years. That's not yours, my mom says quickly. Her voice isn't steady anymore. It's high and thin, like a wire about to snap. She looks at my father, hoping he will say something to debunk me, but he's staring at the phone too. For the first time in my life, she's unsure. She's looking for a lie, for a trick, for anything that will let her keep her power over me. You probably just found that online. Or it's a fake app. Zara, stop this. It's embarrassing to lie about things like this. But even as she says the words, I can see she doesn't believe them. The look in my eyes is too steady. The details I gave were too precise. She knows that a disappointment wouldn't know the names of the board members of that company. She knows that I am telling the truth, and that truth is destroying the world she built where she was the smart one and I was the failure. I don't get angry. I don't call her names. I just wait for reality to sink in. I'm not the one who should be embarrassed today. My uncle, whose eyes are still glued to the phone, asks to see more. Zara, can I see the dashboard? Or the registration? I handed him my phone without hesitation. He scrolls through my business account, his eyes moving fast. He sees the revenue charts, the employee payroll, and the tax filings. He sees the legal documents for the new partnership. His expression changes completely. He looks up from the phone and looks at me with a mixture of shock and deep respect. She's telling the truth, he says slowly, his voice echoing in the silent room. The words land heavier than anything said all night. He hands the phone back to me, his hand shaking just a little bit. This isn't a hobby, Marie, he says to my mother. This is a serious, high-level enterprise. Your daughter has built something incredible. I've been in business for 40 years, and I've rarely seen growth like this. My mother goes completely quiet. She looks like she's been slapped. She looks at me, and for the first time, I don't see judgment in her eyes. I see fear. The truth unfolds like a map across the dinner table. My uncle starts explaining to the rest of the family what he saw on my phone. He talks about valuation and market share and contracts. The cousins, who were laughing at me 10 minutes ago, are now leaning in, their eyes wide with wonder. My aunt is smiling, a real, proud smile. My father is looking at me like I'm a stranger he just met on the street. The silence that follows his explanation is different from the silence at the beginning of the meal. It's not the silence of shame, it's the silence of realization. They are all realizing that they have spent years bullying a woman who is far more successful than any of them. They are realizing that their jokes were actually insults to a person they didn't even know. My mother sits there, her hands folded tightly in her lap. She doesn't look at anyone. The table has turned, and she is the one who is alone now. The disappointment has become the hero of the story, and she has no idea how to handle it. Suddenly, The same people who ignored me or talked over me all night started asking questions. "How long have you been doing this, Zara?" my aunt asks. "Why didn't you tell us you were hiring people?" A cousin chimes in. "Can I come see the office?" Another one asks. It's a flurry of attention, and for a second I almost laugh. It's so predictable. Now that I have money and status, I am suddenly interesting. Now that I have a contract from a big company, I am worth talking to. I look around the table at their eager faces. They want to be part of the success now. They want to know the secret. They want to tell their friends about their brilliant niece or cousin. But I remember how they looked at me 30 minutes ago. I remember the silence when my mother called me a failure. Their interest feels hollow. It feels like they are just trying to get close to the fire now that it's keeping the room warm. I answer their questions politely, but I don't give them any insider information. I keep the wall up because I know exactly how quickly they would turn on me if the money disappeared. I look directly at my mother, who is still staring at her plate. "I try to tell you," I say, my voice calm but firm. The room goes still again. Every eye is on us now. "I tried to tell you when I was 17. I tried to tell you last year when I got my first office. I tried to talk to you about my goals so many times, but you never listened. You were too busy telling me who I was to actually see who I was becoming." She looks up at me then, and her eyes are watery. I thought I was helping," she stammers, her voice weak. "I thought I was pushing you to do better." I shake my head slowly. "You weren't pushing me, Mum. You were holding me down. You wanted me to fit into your idea of a safe life so you wouldn't have to worry. But in the process, you missed out on your daughter's entire life. The truth is out now, and it's not mine to carry anymore. I've spent years feeling guilty for not being what she wanted, but now I realize that her disappointment wasn't about me. It was about her own limitations." My mum struggles to respond. She looks around the table for support, but even my father is looking away. There is no one to back her up this time. "I didn't realize it was this big," she whispers. "I thought you were just playing around. If I had known..." I stop her gently. "If you had known I was successful, would you have been nice to me? That's not how family is supposed to work, Mum. You should have believed me because I told you, not because I showed you a bank statement." The room is silent. No one can argue with that. It's the ultimate truth of our relationship. She only values people who have something she can brag about. Now that I have it, she wants to be proud, but she hasn't earned that right. I see the regret in her eyes, but it's too late. The damage has been done over years of small cuts and loud sighs. I don't feel a need to make her feel worse, but I don't feel a need to make her feel better either. I am finally free of her opinion. The energy at the table has shifted completely. The monthly roast is over, even if there is still food on the plates. No more jokes. No more comparisons to Caleb. Just a quiet reflection from everyone. Even Caleb looks at me differently. He looks a little bit relieved, like the pressure of being the only successful one has finally been lifted off his shoulders. He catches my eye and gives me a small, genuine nod. I nod back. We might actually be able to be friends now that the competition is over. I look at my father, who finally speaks. "I'm sorry, Zara. We really didn't know." I just look at him. He was the silent witness to all of it. His not knowing was a choice he made every single day. I don't say anything to him. There's nothing to say. I realize that I have outgrown this table in this room. I have a life waiting for me outside these walls, a life filled with people who actually believe in me. This dinner was the final test, and I passed it by being myself. I stand up calmly and smooth out my dress. "I should go," I say to the room. "I have a lot of work to do for the new partnership tomorrow." No one stops me. Not because I'm invisible anymore, but because they don't know what to say to the woman I've become. They look at me with a kind of awe that feels strange and a little bit sad. I walk around the table, kiss my aunt on the cheek, and nod to the rest. I walk toward the door, feeling the weight of the last 3 years falling off my shoulders with every step. I don't look back to see if my mother is crying or if my father is watching me. I just walk out into the cool night air. The stars are bright, and the world feels wide and full of possibilities. I realized tonight that I didn't need their approval to succeed, but I did need to face them one last time to realize I was finally done with their judgment. I am Zara, the CEO, and I am exactly who I was always meant to be. Later that week, my mother called me. Her voice is much softer than it was at the dinner table. "I'm proud of you, Zara," she says, her voice trembling slightly. "I saw the article about your company in the business news today. It's amazing." I paused for a long moment, looking out the window of my new office at the city lights. I feel a sense of peace that I haven't felt in a very long time. "I didn't need you to be proud, Mum," I replied quietly. "I needed you to believe me when I had nothing. I needed you to see me when I was just starting out." There is a long silence on the other end of the line. I can hear her breathing, but she doesn't have an answer. "I'm glad you're happy," I continue, "but I'm doing this for me, not for you." I hang up the phone and set it on my desk. The silence in the room is mine now, and it's not a silence I have to carry. I turn back to my computer, ready to start the next chapter of my life, knowing that I am finally truly seen.